This is Ratchet Book Club, Hood Classics. If you're looking for the shit, we have it. Looking for the hood shit, we got it. Thinking of some funny shit, we thought it. Reading with us is the best thing on the block, and we ain't gonna stop till we get to the top. So just check us out real quick. You're never gonna regret it. I'm telling you now, you won't dislike a second. Ratchet Book Club, we got that shit. We are the shit. Yeah, this is legit. That's it. Check me out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, wherever you can find good podcasts at. You won't regret a second. Peace.
Hello, everybody. So before we dive into this week's episode, we just wanted to pop on and say thank you to our latest patron.
Yep, we just wanted to say a big thank you to Mike Leslie, who has just joined up our Patreon. So we just want to say that we really, really appreciate your support. And we really hope that you enjoy your bonus content that you now have access to. And if anybody wants to join Mike and catch up on all our bonus content, then all you need to do is head over to patreon.com/crime divers. You'll find us there. And you can sign up and get binging away.
Yep, so thanks again, Mike. And here's today's episode. Bye.
Bye.
Hi, I'm Laura.
And I'm Jill.
And this is Crime Divers.
Welcome to today's episode.
Hello.
And today it's a Laura-sode. So where in the world are we today?
We are in America.
And what is the name of your case?
Well, I don't think of a very good title, but it's called The Missing Mum.
Okay, well that kind of gives it away.
Well, no,
we're not doing very well with titles, are we?
I know, but I mean, there was nothing really that I could think of that was better. I mean, so that's what it's called.
Maybe we need to have a meeting and we'll
Well, no, because we do come up with some really good names sometimes. It's just occasionally you just can't think of one. So this is on occasion that I can't think of that decent a title, but you know, it doesn't matter. It's got a title, that's all that matters.
Put it in. Let's dive in.
Well, let's dive in then. So Jennifer Farber was born on the 27th of September 1968. She was born in New York City. There wasn't really anything much about her childhood, so I don't really have too much to say. I mean, I've got a little bit, but nothing major. All I know is that she graduated from Brown University in 1990, and there she met a man who was called Fotis Dulos.
Sorry? Are you sure you're pronouncing that right?
Well, that's what it's written as, so unless it's pronounced a different way.
I don't know, I'm just saying it just...
He was born in Turkey, so I mean, right. He's not...
Okay, what's his name?
Fotis Dulos.
I just wanted you to say it again.
Did you know? Wido.
Okay. Did you just call me a wido?
Yeah, I did call you a wido.
I've not been called that since I was a kid.
Oh dear, well, you've been called it now.
Okay, I'm a wido.
Yeah.
I know I put on a bit weight, but come on.
I wido in more ways than one.
Yeah. Get on me.
Sorry. Right, so Fotis Dulos. Well, I think that's how it's pronounced. I don't know. Anyway, he was born on the 6th of August 1967 in Turkey, but he actually grew up in Athens, Greece, before moving to the USA in 1986. Fotis had actually met and married another woman that he had also met at Brown University in June 2000, but that marriage only lasted 4 years and he was divorced on July the 12th, 2004. So after that, during that time, Fotis had been emailing Jennifer while he was still, while he was still with his first wife. It's not clear exactly what other contact they actually had, because the next bit of information basically told me that they got married in Manhattan just over a month after Fotis' divorce came through.
So it sounds like they were having a bit extramarital.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
there's if you're going to get married a month after you got a divorce.
Well, yeah, it is a bit soon, isn't it? I think obviously they would have been separated from each other.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
So maybe they started seeing each other whilst they were separated. It was just they wanted to get married as soon as he was
Yeah.
legally allowed to do so.
Not judging.
Well, you know.
Well, I was judging to start off with. I was just judging if they were having extramarital.
Yeah, but I mean, it doesn't say that they were. It doesn't. Didn't find anything to say that they were.
All right,
so
okay.
It could well have been when he was separated from his.
I'll take
first
back
wife.
my judgment then.
Okay. So they got married on the 28th of August in 2004. They moved to a place called Farmington in Connecticut, and there they went on to have 5 children together, including 2 sets of twins.
Oh my god.
I know, because I was like, how they had 5 children in such a short space of time, but then it explains it. They've had 2 sets of twins, so...
That's a lot.
That is a lot. All were named after Greek saints. So they had 3 boys called Petros, Theodore, and Constantine. Which I thought Constantine and girly, but...
Constantine's the name of a film.
Yeah, with
And
Keanu Reeves.
he was a boy.
Oh,
Was
yeah.
his name Constantine though? I don't know.
I
I've
don't
never
know.
seen
I've
it.
never seen the film, but I know
No.
it was Keanu Reeves, so maybe it is a boy. Oh, well, it was a boy anyway. And they also had 2 daughters called Christiane, I think that's the name, and Cleopatra Noel. So they were all Greek saints.
Okay.
The first few years of marriage seemed to go okay, but on a blog post, sorry, I can read mine now. A blog post on the 12th of March 2012, Jennifer alluded to trouble in her marriage. It was a quote saying, "I wish I were a strong person and that confrontation did not both scare and appall me." End quote. But, so their
How
marriage
do
was...
you know that's about her marriage though?
Well, I said it alluded to trouble in our marriage.
No, but how does that allude to trouble in the marriage?
Well, I don't know, that's just...
Was there other stuff written maybe?
Well, maybe, but that's what it said that it alluded to trouble in our marriage. So, I mean, it didn't confirm that it was trouble in our marriage.
No, just because it never mentioned marriage. That's why it just said that she doesn't like
Yeah,
confrontation.
so I mean, there was no... I mean, I suppose you can't 100% say it was to do with our marriage, but, the
Unless there
reports...
was other stuff written.
Yeah, there might have been, I guess, but the reports, suggested that that's what she was referring to. So, I mean, after that, I mean, there was a gradual breakdown of the marriage in which Jennifer claimed that Fotis was living an increasingly independent life. She eventually did file for divorce on the 20th of June 2017. And in that same month, she moved out of the marital home and into a rented house in New Canaan. And that's about 70 miles away from where they were living in Farmington, and she took the 5 children with her. So I'd actually remember, as I was researching, I forgot, I don't think I actually wrote it down somewhere, but they were quite wealthy. So I think he had quite a successful real estate business and stuff, so they were quite a wealthy family. I'm not sure I actually wrote it down now. So in her divorce documents, Jennifer wrote, quote, "I know that filing for divorce and filing for this motion will enrage him. I know he will retaliate by trying to harm me in some way." End quote.
Oh.
So he obviously, I don't know whether he had like a violent streak or anything, because there was nothing to say that he ever did.
Yeah.
But,
But
the thing that she's saying seems to suggest that...
And she's the one who's going to know best.
Well, exactly, so she seems to think that it is. She also stated that she believed he was having an affair with his colleague called Michelle Troconis. Jennifer also alleged that Fotis had threatened to kidnap their children if she did not agree to his terms in the divorce settlement, and that he had bought a gun that year. Fotis denied making threats and claimed he bought the gun legally for home security. I mean, I know in America you can, so I mean, I don't know
Don't
whether...
threaten to kidnap your kids, so that's what
I mean, a lot of people, I say a lot of people, but I have known menaces how many people actually use their children as weapons when it comes to
it's disgusting.
divorces and stuff.
That really riles me up.
I know, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, parents can, divorce and separate, but as long as they're good, parents to their kids, they should both be able to be involved in their kids' lives.
Leave the kids out of it.
Exactly, yeah, that's, but clearly he was threatening her. So Jennifer requested an emergency order of custody, but the couple were actually given temporary joint custody of their children until the end of the divorce proceedings.
What's that word again?
Divorce proceedings. I'm doing you not able to speak properly.
I know, that's why I'm picking up on it. I
know.
It makes a change.
I know, it does, doesn't it? It's normally you that's making the mistakes, but it's me today.
That's why I'm pointing it out, because it's not me.
Thanks. So I'm assuming that Jennifer clearly wasn't happy with that, because she again requested an emergency order of custody in early 2008. So this time, the judge found that Fotis had broken numerous court orders. So in March 2008, Jennifer was actually awarded sole physical custody of the children, but both parents were still to share joint legal custody. So
Right, yeah.
So she had the physical custody of them, but they were still
But
sharing
legally,
yeah. So Fotis, he was granted supervised visitation and monitored phone calls. So he was still able to see and be in touch with the children.
Yeah.
Just, he wasn't allowed unsupervised, and
Right.
they would have been going to stay with him and all that sort of thing. So as a little... I mean, this was like randomly I found in the middle of information. As a little side note, in February 2018, after Jennifer's father had died, and Jennifer's mum actually sued Fotis for unpaid loans that she claimed he owed them. She claimed that he owed them $1.7 million loaned to him by Jennifer's dad. So I think, because Jennifer's mum and dad they had like their own business and stuff as well, so they were quite wealthy. So, like the kind of guy that he is, he doesn't sound like he sounds a bit...
That's a lot of money to be borrowing off somebody and not paying it back.
Exactly. And I mean, I'm assuming, because it doesn't state what this money would have been used for, so I'm just having a guess that it must have been put into like his business and stuff, because, he did say he did have a successful business, but maybe at some point it wasn't successful and he needed money to help keep it afloat or something, I don't know. But, I mean, we don't...
But he obviously wasn't making any effort to pay it back, otherwise she wouldn't have sued him, because, like, surely... you would think even if it was struggling, they would maybe come to some agreement of maybe just paying it back.
Well, exactly.
In little instalments or whatever. So obviously he just wasn't making any effort at all.
And from what I read, I mean, he lived in like a big mansion and stuff like that, and big expensive house and all that. So they obviously had money in himself. So you'd think he would be paying back his in-laws if they have loaned him money. But yeah, so apparently she sued him. So that's just a little side note. So on the 24th of May 2019, Jennifer had started her day as normal. She dropped her children off at school around 8 a.m, which she did every day, every school day. But she must have lived quite close to the school, as she was seen returning home on a neighbour's security camera at 8:05 a.m. So, like, if she's dropped the kids off at school at 8, and been home by 8, she must have lived relatively close.
Yeah.
This was sadly the last time that Jennifer was seen that day. She had 2 doctor's appointments that she'd made, one at 11 a.m. and one at 1 p.m. in New York City, but she never turned up to either of those. So later that evening, about 7 p.m, 2 of her friends, including her nanny, who was called Lauren Almeida, I think her name was, she reported her missing after failing to get into contact with her. And family and friends all said that, it was out of character for her to leave home on her own without telling anyone. She must have been somebody that was always, I'm just off out here, or I'm just doing this. She clearly let people know what she was doing. So it was totally out of character that she hadn't been in touch with anybody. So Lauren had arrived at Jennifer's house at 11:30 a.m. that morning, and she'd later told detectives that she was surprised to see Jennifer's Range Rover in the garage, because she had planned to take it to her appointments instead of a Chevrolet Suburban, which wasn't there. So she must have had 2 cars. She must have said to her nanny that she was taking...
It's a little weird though, isn't it?
The Range Rover. I don't know why you would make a point of saying, I'm taking this car.
Maybe she didn't make a point of it. Maybe it was just in the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, maybe she was like, I've got doctor's appointments, I'm going to take the Range Rover today or something, I don't know.
There might have been a reason for it. She might have needed to go and fill it up with petrol or something, so she's like, I'll just take that one. Like, there doesn't, it might have just been in the conversation, but it does seem a bit weird.
I know, it does seem weird that she would say specifically which car she's taken. So so that's why the nanny was surprised, because she had expected her to be away in the Range Rover, but then she was away, well, the other car wasn't there.
Yeah.
So I think she probably assumed that at that point that she was away in that other car.
She took the other car, yeah.
So detectives began searching the house, and they found blood splatter on the floor, door, and a wall in the garage, as well as on the outside of the Range Rover. Blood was also found in the kitchen, So they did DNA tests, and DNA tests revealed that most of the blood was Jennifer's, apart from blood on the kitchen faucet, which was a mixture of Jennifer's and her husband's.
Oh. Okay. Well, that looks a bit suspicious.
It does.
Especially if he doesn't live there.
That's right, because remember, she's moved 70 miles away from the marital home. So police also found other evidence of Jennifer being the victim of a serious assault. I don't know what other evidence, because it doesn't say, but they all must have found other stuff. So they believe at this point that she's been really badly assaulted.
Yeah.
So Jennifer's Chevrolet had been caught on the neighbour's security camera leaving her home at around 10:25 a.m. Fotis was believed to be the person caught driving Jennifer's car. Also, I'm going to come back to this later because this is what I read, but to me it doesn't make sense later on. But I'll explain why I don't think it makes sense later on. But at this point, it said that it was also carrying Jennifer's body and other items which he probably used to try and clean up. To basically clean up after himself. There was other items that he had with him. But I'll come back to why I think that's a bit random.
I'm confused. Like, so he was seen on CCTV driving her car
away
with her body in it.
Supposedly.
But how can the CCTV see her body in it?
Well, I don't know where the camera's pointed. It obviously must.
No, but I mean, well, okay, just
yeah. I don't. That's just what I had read. So
I have questions in my mind, but I'm not, because I'm thinking that this case, for some reason, I'm thinking it's unsolved.
Well, it is, but this is
that's why
I'm confused though, because like I say, I'm questioning it as well. But obviously, I wrote it down because that was the information that I found. But because obviously at this point I didn't know where it was going. So when I get to further in it, I kept coming back to this bit, and I was like, that doesn't make sense to me now. But we'll discuss it later.
Yeah.
But that is just what was said at that point, or what they said at the scene. So that same evening, at around 9:30, Fotis and Michelle, so this is the woman that was supposed to say his girlfriend, they were caught on video, or camera or whatever, dumping rubbish bags into 30 bins around...
30?
30 bins around a place called Hartford.
That's a lot of rubbish bags.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So they were caught doing that. The rubbish bags were recovered by police, and they were found to contain various pieces of bloody clothing as well as blood-stained cleaning items. The blood was Jennifer's, and Fotis DNA was found on the inside of a glove in one of the rubbish bags and actually on one of the rubbish bags itself. So, of course, at this point, I'm thinking...
So, to me, it's like, this case should be just wrapped up now.
Well,
then.
you would think, yeah, because that's where I was like, oh, this is just a, you know...
The husband killed the wife. And...
Yeah, it does, yeah, totally. So, Jennifer's car was later found at the side of a road just over 3 miles away from her home. And... You know, so I don't think there was any, you know, they didn't mention anything about the car, so I don't know if they found anything of importance in the car. They just found her car. So, like, well, so like I say, so if you heard all that, you know, let's not forget that Jennifer and Fotis were estranged and still engaged in a nasty divorce battle and also custody of kids. So, I mean, to me, he's got motive here.
Look, it's not even just the motive, is that the evidence is there, surely.
Well, exactly, because that's what I was thinking, but, well... We'll find out more. So, police searched numerous properties in and around Farmington, which was where they had lived before they were still married, and near where Fotis, the family home was, but they didn't. There was nothing. They didn't find anything. But there was no success in that. So, investigators believed that Fotis had arrived by bike to Jennifer's home due to the marks that they found.
So was he not caught on the neighbour's CCTV then? Arriving, because obviously she was.
Yeah, I think he was. I might have wrote it down in a bit.
Alright, sorry.
I think I might have explained that. I can't remember if I did or not. But yeah, so I think that. So basically, they think that he arrived by bike to her house due to the marks that they found on the ground. So there must be like tyre marks that they found, because obviously there was no car, which is why I guess he'd been seen driving her car away, because he didn't have a car. He wasn't there with a car. And they believe that he'd been lying in wait for Jennifer to return home and killed her in the garage. So that's what the police believed had happened. So helicopters were used to look for signs of Jennifer. You know, they also had dog units come in. They had divers. But, you know, again, without any success, they didn't find any trace of her. There had been no activity on her credit card and no calls made from a mobile phone since the day she went missing, which makes sense if she's has been killed. They're not going to be. So, on the 1st of June 2019, Fotis and Michelle Troconis were arrested at a hotel in Avon, Connecticut, and they were charged at this point with tampering with evidence and hindering prosecution. So there wasn't and I mean, surprisingly, this is where I couldn't actually believe this, not enough evidence existed at that time to warrant any more serious charges. So they weren't actually arrested and charged.
I don't get that.
Yeah, I was like, how? Like, with everything that I've just told you, how have they not been charged with anything more serious? So that at that point, it was literally the tampering and the hindering prosecution. So the children, they went to live with Jennifer's mother, who was granted temporary custody at that point. So Fotis hired a lawyer called Norm Pattis to represent him. Prior to being hired by Fotis, Norm Pattis had been convinced that Jennifer was dead. And Fotis and Michelle, they both pled not guilty to the charges that they were arrested for. I don't really know what happened there, because the next bit of information I found was that they were again arrested in September 2019. So they'd been arrested on the 1st of June initially for those charges.
Right.
So I'm assuming nothing much came of that, because they were then arrested again in September 2019 on the same charges and again pleaded not guilty. So I don't understand.
Just got let go.
Yeah, I think so. So they got rearrested, but then Fotis appeared in court on the 4th of October to seek a dismissal of the charges against them, and the judge said, you know, he'd review the arguments by the defence and the prosecution. But on the 7th of January 2020, Fotis was arrested again, but this time he was charged with capital murder and kidnapping in relation to Jennifer's disappearance. So I don't know really what changed to why he didn't get arrested for that in the first place, but he finally got arrested for it. Michelle was also arrested and charged with conspiracy to commit murder, and a friend of Fotis's was also arrested and charged with conspiracy to commit murder, and his name is Kent Douglas Mawhinney. I think that's pronounced Mawhinney. Not really sure. Anyway, so his friend, he became estranged from his wife after he'd been accused of rape, and his wife had told authorities that she feared Fotis and her husband were working together to kill her. So I think that's maybe how he came into the plot, because you know, he obviously, his estranged wife had said that. And after Jennifer had disappeared, a shallow grave was actually discovered at a secluded property that he owned. But authorities and a sniffer dog discovered it in August 2019, but no body was found in the grave. So I mean, I don't know much more about that, but that's what it is. But I mean, you know, at this point, Jennifer's body's still not been found. So they still have no idea, you know, what's happened to her. So after the arrest, Jennifer's family issued a statement, and they said, quote, "Although we are relieved that the wait for these charges is over, for us there is no sense of closure. Nothing can bring Jennifer back. We will miss her every day and will forever mourn her loss." So I think everybody's clearly thinking she is dead.
Yeah. Well, that's what it looks like.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Well, you know, looking at the, you know, if her body was seen on camera, then I just don't understand that part. Like, you know, him being seen carrying her body. I don't know whether it was lifeless. I don't know whether.
Yeah, that's what my thing was.
I don't know in what way it was seen. That's what I didn't quite understand. So I'm assuming everybody is convinced that she is dead at this point.
Because surely, right, if it was like 100% proved that her body was in that car, surely he would, because he would be caught on camera with a dead body. Yeah. So surely he would have got done for it.
But I mean, there was no other reference to that moment. You know what I mean? That was just like the bit of research that I found. It was that. I couldn't find any other, because I even looked. I tried to find more information to see if I could sort of clear it up and clarify it, but there was nothing. So I didn't quite understand that part. But you know, as I said, I could only go by what I could find, and obviously I thought it was important to mention it. So on the 8th of January, Fotis' bond was set at $6 million. He was released the following day and was due to return to court on the 28th of February 2020. So say when people get a bond, does that mean he actually had to pay $6 million to get out?
Duh.
I'm assuming that is what it means. I've never really quite understood the bond, because I've heard of like people, your bond's set at this amount, and it always seems like such a crazy amount of money. And I'm like, well, I could never afford to pay that to get out. So I mean, I'm assuming, do you pay that and you get out?
I don't know.
I might have to look that up. I should have really googled that to find out, because it bugs me. But anyway, so while he was out on bail, Fotis was actually to appear back in court on the 28th of January for an emergency bond meeting. So there must have been some issue with his bond that he had to go back for this emergency meeting, but he failed to appear. The police went to his house to look for him. Well, actually, I think they were actually called to his house, which I later realised. And they found him in an unresponsive state. He had poisoned himself with carbon monoxide by running a vacuum cleaner hose from the exhaust pipe of his SUV into the interior of the car whilst it was parked in the garage. Initially, it was reported that Fotis had been found dead, but responders had done CPR and actually managed to get a faint pulse back. So he was taken by ambulance to Yukon Medical Centre in Farmington, and from there he was airlifted to Jacobi Medical Centre in the Bronx.
Oh, Jacobi, that's where Sneha's husband worked.
That's right. I was like, that sounds familiar. So he was airlifted there to undergo hyperbaric oxygen therapy. So Fotis' 5 children actually did visit him while he was on life support there, and that was the first time that they had been to see him since he was accused of murdering their mother. But Fotis, he didn't recover.
Oh.
And he was pronounced dead on the 30th of January 2020, and he was 52 years old, and he actually did leave a suicide note in his car that read, quote, "I refuse to spend even an hour more in jail for something I had nothing to do with," end quote. So he topped himself and committed suicide.
Oh. But if he had nothing to do with it, why was his blood mixed with her blood?
Well, exactly, because I was like, I'm not sure I believe him. I'm not sure I believe that. All the evidence that we've heard so far points to him having something to do with it.
To me, I'm just like, nah, I'm not believing it. Like, if you killed yourself, was it out of guilt? Or was it just basically because you got caught?
Well, yeah.
And you were going to have to spend your life...
Yeah, you didn't want to deal with the consequences of what you've done, I think. Because I'm not convinced on that personally.
No, it's just their opinion, but...
Yeah, it is just their opinion, but... I don't know.
Yeah, it just sounded all very dodgy to me.
Sorry. So in the police report, Fotis' new girlfriend, because bear in mind, he actually must have split up from Michelle Troconis at some point, so he actually had another new girlfriend.
Oh, alright, okay.
Called Anna Curry, and she was actually at his home the morning of his suicide. They had planned to drive to the courthouse together for his emergency bond meeting, but Fotis had said they should drive separately. I have no idea why, and I have no idea why she agreed to that, but she obviously did. So on the way, Anna received a call from his lawyer, Pattis, asking where his client was, and she had told him that they were driving separately. But the lawyer said, well, that can't be right, because his GPS tracker, because he was actually on house arrest, so he had like a tag on.
Right, yeah.
His GPS tracker's still showing him at home, so that can't be possible. So at this point, that's when Anna realised that I think he's maybe done something to himself. So she said to the lawyer, "Can you phone 911?"
Yeah.
Which is then when the police obviously turned up to his house and found him unresponsive. So that was what the police report said. So in a statement made in May 2020, Michelle, because remember Michelle's still part of this, because she's still been charged, she said it was a mistake to have trusted Fotis, but maintains that she did not know what happened to Jennifer or her whereabouts. So she's denying all involvement in it, because she was obviously charged with conspiracy to commit murder and stuff, but she's denying it all.
She was putting the rubbish bags, which she might not have known what was in the rubbish bags, but surely you would ask.
Well, I mean,
what did she think that she was putting in the bins? Like, rubbish bags.
I was going to say, it's not like it was just one or two rubbish bags. It was a lot of rubbish bags. So to me, I'd be like, well, what are you getting rid of? Because I would ask, what are we doing?
Maybe she did ask, and he gave her a good enough explanation. I can't think what that would be, but
No, I don't know.
but I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying she's innocent, but I'm not saying she's guilty either. I don't know if she's...
Yeah, I don't know. So Michelle is currently still out on bail. So due to COVID-19, the case hasn't fully come to court yet.
Right.
She did appear at a virtual court hearing a day after the 2-year anniversary of Jennifer's disappearance, and a trial date is likely to be set for some time in 2022. So she is still...
Yeah. Well,
gonna
yeah, I mean, like, just because he's died...
Just because he's died, yeah. And
mean
the
that she's
friend,
been
Kent Douglas Mahwini, he...
What's his name again?
So, I'm not saying it right. The friend, he has, of course, still pleaded not guilty to the charge as well. So he's scheduled to appear at a virtual meeting on the 27th of July. So I'm not sure that, depending on when this episode actually goes out, I'm not sure whether that'll have happened or not.
Well, this episode's is August.
So he would have appeared at a virtual one. So there might
Assuming it went ahead.
So
Yeah.
I mean, I'm assuming there'll be a bit more of an update on him. But God, I'm saying his name again. So
Why don't you just say his first name?
Kent. We'll say Kent.
Well, you don't have to say his second name.
I know. I like to say just so that you know who I'm talking about.
I know who you're talking about when you say Ken.
Right. So Kent, he's actually set to testify against Michelle. He claims that Fotis and Michelle tried to solicit him in a conspiracy to do away with Jennifer. So he's actually going to testify against Michelle when it does eventually go to court. Because obviously he's saying that he was basically, solicited and basically being a part of doing away with Jennifer. But I don't know whether I agree with this, but a Connecticut judge has actually decided to drop the case against the now dead Fotis. So he's not even going to be, even though he's dead, he's got...
But why can't he still be held accountable for it?
Well, that's what I thought. But then,
if he did it,
even more strangely, his lawyer did actually object, as he wanted the trial to go ahead to prove his client did not kill his estranged wife. But the judge hasn't allowed him to do that either. So the charges are just being dropped against him completely.
No, see, I think that they should have still had a trial. Can you still have a trial without somebody being there? I don't know, but yeah, I think either way, yes, he's died, but it would... Why not either say yes, he's guilty,
it's still justice
or
for the family, isn't it? To find out what happened to her, or hopefully find out what happened to her.
I mean, for her kids as well. Like, her kids, they're
not going to
grow up not knowing whether their dad killed their mum or not.
Exactly. They don't know where their mum is, and they don't know whether their dad killed their mum.
Yeah.
So...
See, I would want... If that was my parents, then I would want to
So I
know.
suppose in some way the defence lawyer... I know he's trying to prove that he didn't do it, but, at least he's obviously trying to have a case to decide what did happen to her.
That's totally understandable.
But no, so, yeah. But there was, other than those two suspects being, the main suspects, there was one other theory, and that was that Jennifer was murdered by someone else, but that her husband panicked when rubbish bags of her bloody clothes were dropped in his backyard. So he's basically...
So somebody's killed her, took off all their clothes and got rid of all the evidence and whatever and went and dumped them in his back garden.
Yeah, and that's why he's got rid of them.
And that's
why he's panicked and got rid of them.
So if that happened, why didn't he just phone the police and say, there's 30 rubbish bags just been dumped in my garden, can you come and have a look at them,
exactly,
please?
so I'm like, I'm not sure that's really a good theory, but that was just one other theory that was put out there.
Whoever came up with that theory is rubbish.
Yeah, exactly. So sadly,
sorry, I just interrupted you. To me, it does sound like...
Well, I think it all points to him.
I'm just going to say the husband because I can't remember who
Fotis.
it is. Fotis. Yeah, it does.
It does. It all points to him.
Yeah,
to
definitely.
Me. I mean, the fact that his blood was on the rubbish bags, his blood, was the house.
Yeah.
I think that
he lived 70 miles away from her.
What
why was his blood there?
Yeah, exactly.
On the day that she's disappeared.
And considering they're going through a bitter divorce battle, a custody battle, she's not going to be wanting him in the house.
Yeah, of course.
So if he's in the house, he's probably forced his way in, or...
Well, she might have.
She might have, but I mean, I just, from what it sounds like, I don't think that she would be letting him in there willingly.
But whether she did or not, there's no need for his blood to be there.
Exactly. So sadly, there's still no body and still no. As much as I feel like we have an idea there's still no idea what's happened.
We kind of know.
Yeah.
We think we know what happened, but we haven't got proof, and obviously we don't know exactly what happened to her or where she is, where her body is.
And I mean, obviously, I know that there will be the trial of Michelle next year and his friend as well. So whether there'll be more revealed from that,
maybe.
Further down the line, there might well be, but we're never going to know from him because obviously, took.
Can I just say though, you keep moaning at me for doing cases that aren't like
solved, cut and dry.
Well, they're just not like cut and dry, like bish bash bosh done. You keep moaning at me for that, and then you go and do it yourself.
I know, but
I really hope that more does come out and they do find her body because, as we said in previous episodes and stuff, like everybody deserves like a proper burial or cremation or whatever, just
exactly
for them and for the family, just so they can process it and say goodbye. And
exactly, but that's that's going back to the whole, if he's seen it on this camera with her carrying her body, I don't understand that. I mean, I know that it could have happened and he's not revealed where it is, or it's because he's denying it, he's not saying, but I don't really understand that part of it. But
no, I don't either.
Let's say that was just in the information that I found, so of course it was important enough to mention, but I'm just not really sure in what context it actually means. Like, was he definitely carrying her body, or did he get seen on that camera? Because to me, if he did, then with all the blood and stuff, I don't understand. I mean, obviously, I know he was charged eventually with the murder, but before, remember, he wasn't charged initially with it because they said there wasn't enough evidence at that point.
Maybe they had to get more evidence or something.
But then, I mean, maybe the CCTV was after that. I mean, I suppose maybe the timeline. Maybe I've not quite got the timeline right with that. Maybe the CCTV was discovered after that, and that's when he was charged with the murder.
That's the thing though. Like, the problem is with doing, like the true crime podcast and doing your research and everything, you're never going to find out every single
event,
little thing. There is going to be stuff missing, and it's quite often that we have questions and the other person can't answer.
And let's say I suppose going back, sometimes you don't get the accurate timeline as well. You don't exactly know when that's actually happened.
Exactly. I mean, like, you can only kind of say what you've read, or
what you found, exactly. So sadly, it is currently an unsolved case, and of course the chief suspect committed suicide. So I don't know what, to me, the girlfriend, or the ex-girlfriend, I suppose you'd call her now, Michelle, I mean, she's obviously going to be wanting to clear her name if she is innocent, or even if she's not, she's probably going to be trying to get out of it in any way that she can, because I'm not convinced that she would have had any part in the murder. I mean, I think if she has had a part in it is of disposing of evidence. That, to me, that's what she seems to be involved in. So.
I don't think she was actually involved in the murder because she wasn't seen on CCTV or anything. There's no evidence of her being at the scene.
No, just the disposing of the rubbish bags. That's so. I mean, she's. But I mean, being charged with the conspiracy to murder. I mean, it's still a serious charge.
Yeah,
so
of course.
I think she could still find herself in prison for many years if she's convicted of it. But
so she should.
But so we'll have to keep an eye on that one.
Yeah, we'll give any updates if we
come across them. I'd say it does say it's not going to be till next year, so I mean, it could still be quite a while away before.
And we'll probably forget by then.
We'll probably forget. Maybe one day it'll pop up. I'm like, oh, remember that case that we did.
Maybe, because our memories are rubbish. Laura keeps going on about how bad my memory is, but she's not far behind me.
I am pretty bad at times.
Yeah.
But anyway, that is my episode today.
Okay, well, thank you for that, and thank you to everybody for listening. And if you would like to follow us on social media, if you would like to, join our Patreon, then I will put our details in the show notes.
And if you do want to carry on listening to us in our wonderful world of true crime, please don't forget to subscribe,
rate,
review.
Review.
Thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye.